Hello, friends. Welcome to Egg Talks number 5. It's been 5 weeks since we started doing this. What? This time around, I thought we would look at the country of China. Don't worry, friends. I'll be sure to stamp your passports when I go in next time, and I'll give them all a little stamp. But for today, talk about China. You can see behind me, red background, gold flags. Learn a little bit about that later. Right now, take a look up here. You can see where China is versus where we are. We're way over here, this tiny little red dot, and they're take a plane all the way over here. Look how huge they are. Actually, there are 1.4 billion people that live there. That is 4 times as many. For United States, all the people in it times 4 would make as many people as live right there in China. China has a wonderful culture too. You know, you have people, you have their music and all that stuff. But then, come on, the one big thing for food. A lot different than the food you might see in like an American Chinese restaurant. They do have some of that kind of stuff over there, but for the most part, a lot of soft things, a lot of steamed things. That said, there's up here. These are steamed buns. They're usually filled with, like, if you go to dim sum, they're filled with like soup or like little bits of meat or whatever. Speaking of which, these are sumais, which are also a dim sum favorite. Shrimp, mushrooms, pork, that kind of thing. They're all filled with. And these up here, you can't really see them that well, but they're actually a really sweet, like, little cake called a nine gao. They're actually eating during the Chinese New Year. So yeah, there's as you can see, the little same but different, like we've always said before, right? The next thing I have up for my friends is something I know you're looking forward to. It's the school life in China. So over here you can see the 3 pictures. This is actually a rural school. We'll get to that in a minute. In this picture here, you can see these two girls are wearing uniforms. So boys too, don't think you get off the hook. So no Pokemon shirts, no Red Hot Chili Peppers, no teachers, sorry, uniforms for everybody. Like, so that's what's happening. For the most part, 6 years of elementary school, 3 years of middle school, and 3 years of high school. So still 12 years. It's a bit different. You know, they have an extra year of elementary school. They start from 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, so 9 hours of and that's not after school stuff, that's just 9 hours of learning. With that said, for the most, this here, like I was saying before, is actually a picture of a rural school. So the word rural just basically means, like, we're in a city here. It means a place that's a bit farther away from a city. It's going to have a lot more trees, a lot less buildings, and in some cases a lot less people. Mr. Edward is actually, and Miss Bethany are actually used to live in a place called Calais, which is about 2,000 people, which is like very, very tiny. Okay. So anyways, and actually, before I forget, the first lecture of every day at 7 o'clock, the principal comes out with a bullhorn, which is kind of like a megaphone, and they give the first lecture of the day. Could you imagine if, like, Miss Sally just came out and was like, "Hello, Shorts Preschool. Welcome to day, 76. Today is going to be a wonderful day." Could you imagine just every day, that would be so great.
Perfect impression.
The only difference between the city schools and the rural ones really is, well, they don't have a lot of money. You can see that they're having what's called an assembly outside here. You know, a bunch of like little wooden desks all pushed together, and everybody kind of crowded around in a school circle. But you know, these schools they're not heated in the winter. They're not air conditioned in the summer. You know, they're crowded. There's like there's kids that are as young as you, and you can see like older, big, taller, how big this girl is and how small this boy is over here. Like, it's a difference in age groups. They just kind of all mix together, you know, like that. So, I mean, there's a little bit of differences, you know, between our schools and their schools or what have you, longer hours, all that. But for the most part, again, same but different. The one thing that I think my friends will really enjoy is they have these things called folk tales. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of folk tales. You guys have probably read lots and lots of these. Lots of them feature dragons and tigers, but there's one in particular up here. He looks pretty eager to see us, actually. This little guy right here. It's a panda, and actually I have a book for us today called The Legend of the Great Panda. Let's see what that's all about. There he is. Little guy hiding out there. It says, "Oh, the wonder of the panda that hides in the bamboo woods. Oh, the secrets that are whispered by dark wings in rustling leaves and tracked by footsteps along the narrow trails of the ancient wilderness. This is a magic place in a faraway land called China. Here rush the icy rivers where the water dragons swim. Here rise the mountains of Sleeping Dragon where the giant panda lives." There he is, right there. It's all little crow friends, too. "It is a land of many legends. One legend was told to the old pandas in their dream. That is why they remember it best. So they tell their children about the Great Keeper, a guardian spirit who watches over small bears at night when the sun falls from the sky and the wind calls itself back home to rest. It is a story that all pandas know. And now you shall know too." There he is. Little guy. What do you think, Mama Bear? Probably, yeah. Oh, look at this. "The legend says that all giant pandas were once absolutely white as snow, without any black around their eyes or their ears or paws or over their entire bodies. They had no black fur at all, just like newborn pandas today. The tiny bears don't get their familiar black markings until several weeks after they are born. A reminder perhaps of the mystical changes that happened to the first pandas long ago. It was so long ago that the earth was almost all wilderness. Desert dust clouds from elephant herds would drift a mile high into the air. Whole schools of fish would flash like bright pennies on every ocean wave. The mysterious songs of the great whales echoed from the sea to sea, and horns and hooves of mighty beasts howled and hammered over the land." Let's see if we can see some of these things. Look, got a turtle, fish, a little dolphin. There's that big whale. I didn't do his voice right, but there he is. And then little seahorses up on the edge here. The most wonderful animal of all was the giant panda bear. It was a quiet, peaceful, and secretive creature that was rarely seen outside the dense thickets and caves of the forest where they liked to hide from view. Like pandas today, they too chewed on small sticks of bamboo from morning till night. Naturally, the pandas loved the forest, which stretched its kindly branches as far beyond their sight as any of them could even imagine. All this stuff down here is bamboo that he's gonna nom all over. Poisonous to people, but panda bears can eat it. At the edge of the panda's forest was a small village where there lived a faithful old gatekeeper. No one knew where he had come from, but he had opened the high village gates at dawn and closed them every evening for as long as anyone could remember. The gatekeeper loved the bamboo woods as much as his friends the pandas did. It was a deep understanding between them as they each pushed their solitary way through the mountains. They had no need to chatter about it. At first light every morning, the pandas would watch the gatekeeper leaning upon the smooth gnarls of his old walking stick as he went about his chores. When they were finished, the old sage would make his daily pilgrimage into the forest, leaving behind the busyness of the day
He would walk slowly down a small path and disappear into the wall of trees at the edge of the crowded little village. Oh, the best men love the earth and seek the wisdom of its silent places. Super mystical. Oh, there's the old man. See his little stick? He's walking. He's going to go to the forest here. It's his little house. He's saying, I'm done for the day. With my work, I'm going to go take a hike. The gatekeeper loved to wander deep into the woods, where the only sound was the chitter of birds and the flutter of their wings, and the great creak and crackling of tall trees when the wind blew. Sometimes a flurry of dry yellow leaves would suddenly shower down upon him like confetti tossed from the sun. Then the deep lines in his face would soften, like a fond father who smiles upon his children. There he is again. Oh, look who he sees over here. I wonder if they're gonna meet up. Look at these trees too, they're huge. The other villagers did not share the old wise man's love for the wilderness. The gatekeeper would get so angry with the way they cut down the forest to build their houses grander and grander, to dig their gardens wider and wider, and to grow their herds of sheep larger and larger. He would wave his arms about and scold them. He had even been known to grab one or two of the worst offenders by the ear and tweak them. Good and proper. Oh, jeez, he's kind of mean, though. Like, be nice to the woods, but don't hurt people. Come on. For the people of the town left great scars upon the mountains, and seemed not to care greatly what they wasted by cutting the thin with the thick, if the method was quick enough. They did not care whether or not they left enough bamboo for the pandas. Oh no. The villagers foolishly believed that the vast wilderness which surrounded them existed solely for their own disposal. That's not true at all. Remember weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks ago when we talked about the Amazon rainforest? Same idea. Leave the trees alone, man. These unwitting town dwellers were a danger to the forest merely by traveling through it. One day, it happened that a farmer made a camp deep in the woods. He built a fire to cook his dinner, keep himself warm, and keep the snakes and spiders away. Ugh. He was careless. In the morning after he left, a spark of live fire started up again on its own and began to lick hungrily at the small sticks. Oh no. He was foolish and he left his fire on. Now the forest is going to light on fire. Whoa, look at that dragon. The wind blew and the little flames suddenly roared into a great dragon of hissing and spitting just as the gatekeeper passed by on his walk. He wrestled the fire dragon to the ground. What? And tried to smother him, but unfortunately his robe caught on fire. Caught on one of the fiery claws. A giant panda rushed to his rescue from nearby. Was too late to save him. The old gatekeeper who had loved the forest had gave his life trying to save it. Oh no. See, look. There's the gatekeeper fighting the fire dragon. The panda's going to try to save him, but says it was too late. Oh, that was a long and dark day. All the pandas now began to fight the fire dragon with great fury. Yeah. They swatted and patted with their great white arms and stomped with their great white feet until their paws were black as with soot. Finally, the only flame left in the sky was the one of the evening sun slipping behind the rim of the distant mountains. The fire was out and the fire dragon did not have a single leg left to dance upon, nor one baleful breath of smoke to disturb and clear a starry sky. Look, he's like, no! And all the pandas are beating him up. They're like, get out of here, fire. Get out of here. Beat you up. Look, see, now they have all these black stripes on them. It was then the pandas fully realized that their good friend, the old gatekeeper, was gone forever. They would never again see his black robe bowing low before the village gates, or track the marks of his old walking stick along the secret paths. They began to weep great panda tears. They wiped their great panda eyes with their great fire-blackened panda paws. They patted each other on their panda shoulders, confronted each other with their great soft hugs, and cupped their ears to distant cries of other pandas and other forest creatures. So they were sad, and they got their black on their eyes and their ears too. That's how they got that, apparently. And ever since that day, wherever the giant panda rubbed their fire-blackened paws on their eyes, their ears, and their shoulders, where they hugged each other, they were forever remained black. The great spirit of the wilderness had touched the face of their pain with wonder. So, look, even through all that bad stuff, sun is coming out, things are happening. Here's the great nature spirit they were talking about. It's all good. Panda's alright. The wise old gatekeeper who had loved and protected the forest was no more. But now all the panda bears would forever carry the shadow of his spirit with them. The black and white markings of the giant panda bears reminded all who see them that there is no keeper of the forest but us, and the wilderness, which is the soul of the earth, is calling. The legend of the giant panda is this: the keeper of the forest casts the shadow of a bear. So there he is, in his forest, protecting it, keeping it safe from evil fire dragons.